So my name is Aitor Artola. I'm currently working in a company called Datua. I mentioned that before. It's a company that works only in data-related projects, right? And we have 4 pillars, really, that we are covering: data engineering, data governance, data intelligence or business intelligence, right? And especially artificial intelligence, right? So apart from the actual work that I'm doing there, I'm also co-founder of a company that has built a platform called linage. I might have a chance later to show you the platform, what it does, but somehow what its goal is actually to deploy open source tools, right? Data-related tools in Kubernetes in such a way that you can have, let's say, anything you need to start a project, right? It would be the equivalent, and we were first, by the way, of the Microsoft Fabric that was mentioned before. We were there before, right? That's what this thing does, okay? So I will try to have, if I have time, to give you a demo, okay? But we will see whether there is enough time for that. So my presentation is going to be not so much about technology, because in 20 minutes, giving a talk about technology is quite hard. It's going to be a more holistic view. I mean, it's going to be more about what in the debate we had before, I just mentioned, right? Is data observability or visibility, but for now, a more holistic way, yeah? Something that will be affecting more to the business side, yeah? For that, we will talk about some concept called data catalog, and I will be actually mentioning a few things that, on a few technologies that were mentioned in the previous debates, right? Okay, let's go. So, if it works, right? There you go. I went fast. There you go. So, with this, what I'm trying to give here is a view of how data is actually organized within an organization. As you see, it's kind of a simple picture, but I think it describes very well the situation we have in many companies. If we look at the deep into the data, yeah, we can divide 2 kind of types of data or natures of data. Operational data, data that most of the companies already handle, right, for the day-to-day business, right, and it's very much related to technical experts or domain experts, right? And then there is another one that is called, I call informational data. In here, what we are trying to do is we are trying to actually get, from a business perspective, a vision of how things are going, right? And this is why it's called informational, right? In the technical side, in the operational data, so we are all familiar with the databases, all these Mongo, Elastic, Trino, all these kind of technologies, right? Data lakes, that's okay. But now in the informational side, yeah, in the business side, so far I think most of the companies have already developed quite a lot related to what is called business intelligence. The data warehousing and all these technologies are already there. And even though maybe many have not been very successful, but there are at least an intention to go in that direction. But there is a newcomer here, not something that is really new, but now that is becoming more and more popular, which is artificial intelligence to do prescriptive analytics, right? This is actually moving everybody to have, let's say, to introduce that in their business, because I think that most of the companies now have realized that this is actually not the future, but the present. They need to get into this, otherwise they will be losing business in the future. So this is the ideal vision that we would have in a company, right? Where everybody actually has its own data. But what is the reality? The reality is this, and I think it was mentioned before in the keynote, yeah? The data silos. I think this is the biggest thing, the most common thing that you will find in any company. So you will have probably data all across the whole organization, by divided into different areas, departments, or what I call domains, right? Where you will have people that are expert on this particular area, but doesn't know much about the rest, okay? So there are actually walls there that create this kind of data silos. So if that's already a reality in the domain area, right, think about the business side. In the business side, they have data spread across different departments or domains, so it has really difficulties to actually understand and know what data is available. in their organization. So this has some consequences, and I'm just mentioning here just a few of them. First, the domain expert, right? Because they are focused, yeah? Obviously, each company is different, it might be, but bigger the company, more silos you will find. It will be difficult to identify these synergies between the different departments. So in here, there is no easy integration that could be done between them because of this way of managing things, right? On the business side, yeah, you have the business guys that are trying to get information about the data that is available in the company. So they cannot access that data, so they have a dependency with each of the domain experts. If you have many, you will be asking about data that you are requiring for some kind of projects, prescriptive or descriptive analytics, right? So probably there will be big fights between these two, right? Domain expert because he's handling the day-to-day business and is bothering, and the business guy is bothering him, and the business guy because he's not getting the data that he's expecting or is requiring for his work, right? The consequences, so often you get data duplication. The same data is located in different domains, right? In different systems. So I have seen situations in which they don't even know, even their client data, where is actually the truth, right? Where is the right place to look at when you are looking for particular information related to something as critical as clients? Misinterpretation. There is a vocabulary in the business side. There is a vocabulary in the technical side. So if you request something, you send an email, I want this, this, this. The technical guy will try to translate that the best way possible and will provide the data. If you are lucky, you will get what you are looking for. If you are not lucky, who knows what you are getting, you know? And then there is the mismatch then that you will get in your analytics. The shadow data. I mean, I mentioned before one of the key technologies in this world, the Excel or CSV files. How easy it is. I need something, difficult integration, it will take time, no worries. I have the email and I have the Excel. Take the data, use it, and be free. So with this, you have data all across the company that you don't even know that exist, okay? Which is a big risk, especially now when all these security regulations and privacy regulations that are, especially in Europe. I don't know about Japan, Asia, I don't know how big they are, but in Europe, like GDPR and all these kind of things are moving things like in a point where you have to be very careful with this. So master data management, MDM. So if you don't know where the data is, so you will have different master data, different versions of what a client is. And then, well, with that situation, there is no one source of truth. I don't know where the data is, so give me this and I'll continue. In reality, that means really that there is a very poor data quality, okay? I hope that everybody agrees. If there is any disagreement on this, then let me know and you can teach me something because I have seen this in practically all companies, okay? So what is the first step really to solve this, right? The idea is here to identify create some kind of unified view and understanding of the data available within the organization and that is accessible for the whole organization, right? And in order to do that, I'm talking here not about just the technical guy that can go to a database, but also the business side. Okay, they are first-class citizens now regarding data. It's not the technical one that will give you the data. You can do that by yourself, right? That's the whole goal. And obviously unified, as I said. And here we start talking about some concepts. I don't know how familiar you are, but there are things like data catalog, data glossary, data dictionary, data lineage, right? I'll try to explain all of them right now, very quick, right? But at the end of the day, this is very much related to the metadata management. What is metadata at the end? So I read somewhere something like metadata is data about data. So in here we are talking, if we are looking at the database, it will be something like the schema, the format of the table name, the format and, I don't know, name of the columns, this kind of information that are associated to the actual data that you have in your system, but that establishes the structure that it has, okay? So this metadata is actually one of the key things that is defined in the DAMA book. Are you familiar with the DAMA book? Well, it's kind of the Bible for the data engineering or the data management, let's say, work, yeah? And one of the key points, as you see there, is actually the metadata management. This is not something that is handled very much these days in many companies, from my experience, maybe many do. But it's something very critical because it gives you actually the information that you need to understand what data you have available, right? So in here, then we start with the first definition. What is a data dictionary? Well, data dictionary would be the collection of the different metadata you can collect from your different physical systems, right, that handle data, databases, ATL, let's say, transformation tools, Lake FS, for example, right? So you can collect the metadata they have. Actually, you will have metadata there. So you would collect that, and then using that information you are collecting, you can actually create a dictionary that tells you exactly what kind of data you have in that environment, in that physical system. Say that MySQL, PostgreSQL, or LakeFS, right? So with this, you achieve the first thing. How you do that very often? Well, you do that with Excel and asking people, asking the domain expert. Let's say that if you do that with the metadata, you can do that easier in a more automatic way, okay? There is another kind of, I also consider this metadata, which is the business terms. It is important here in a company that everybody is talking the same language. There is often a different language between the technical people and the business people. And even between departments, they might have different definitions for something, right? I don't know. What is a location, right? For maybe the technical guy is a coordinate, I don't know. For other one is a name. So it is important to define these kind of things. I don't know whether the example was the best, right? But you understand what I mean. If there is not a common language of business terminology used across the whole organization, then you will get these misunderstandings that I mentioned before. So what is the idea here? Another definition of another element that is required, a data glossary. A place where you can actually put all your business terms, yeah, and make sure that everybody is actually using them, so there is no confusion. If somebody is telling me what term means, then it's not your opinion, it's not my opinion. You actually go and check it because you have a description associated to that. Okay? So from all the boxes that I mentioned before, we know already the data dictionary, information about the data that is stored in our systems, and then the data glossary, business terms that are used within the organization. If you have these two, yeah, then what we can do is something quite interesting. We can actually combine the data dictionary data and the, let's say, the data glossary information, link basically the physical data information with the business terms, right? And we can actually create a data glossary, a data catalog. Data catalog that should be available for everybody. The domain, be a domain expert or business driver. And this is the way you can actually achieve what we are looking for. A place where you can actually check and query the data that you have in your company from different perspectives, both business or technical, okay? So I hope that with this you have understood absolutely everything, right? So it was quite simple and easy. So I'm going to give you an example because Bart told me that this is also about open source. I have seen this morning that you are talking about Crystal, right? So this is, and actually this tool that I'm going to talk about now is actually was mentioned also by one of the speakers, right? And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to explain how this thing works to achieve everything that I just mentioned. And if we have time, I don't know whether we will, I will actually show you a live demo, right? With all the risk that is behind that, you know? You know, the demo time. So the tool that I'm going to talk about is Data Hub. It was mentioned before. This is actually a great tool that manages this metadata and allows you to work with it, yeah? To get this data catalog that I just mentioned, okay? So it was originally built by LinkedIn, okay? And it was open sourced in February 2020 from what I read, okay? It's open source now, I don't know. It was 220. And then looking at its details in GitHub, you have the code there, so you can use it if you want. So 419 contributors, 8.3K stars, and then the license is fully open source. Okay? So there you have the links as well if you want to check those things. Now, what do we do with this? Basically, Data Hub allows you to connect to lots of different technologies that you might have. I have put here an example of a life cycle. It would be something like an origin of the data is the SQL Server, for example. Then with NiFi, or before it was mentioned, something like Node-RED or something, you actually maybe do some kind of job or something to move that from the SQL Server to PostgreSQL, doing some kind of transformations, right? Then you have also Trino as a virtualizer. So if you want to access that, combine that with other, let's say, building a data federation system. And then you have also Superset as well if you want to do some reporting or business intelligence. So this would be one example of the data life cycle. All that would be moving there. Well, with Data Hub, you can actually request metadata for all of them. Collect that information, and it will automatically give you a view of all the data that is available within the systems, within those systems. Depending on the actual technology, it can even give you a historical of changes that have happened in those schemas or tables and things like that. On the other side, the tool provides you the way to introduce business terms, right? I'm sorry about that. If in the metadata is about connecting and getting the metadata, and this will give you everything, with the business terms, you have to do it yourself. If you don't have those business terms, you have to build them. You have to write them, okay? And the tool will allow you to use them, okay? So, in summary, what we have is, these are the screenshots. I wasn't sure whether it was the right way to do it, but if we go for the demo later, it will be easier, right? But as I said, it has this metadata ingestion. You just connect there, you establish a connection to those systems, right? And schedule how often you will get the metadata, the updates, right? All that it will be ingested, you will get from there the data dictionary. It will allow you to include there the business terms that are common to your company, okay? That are the ones that should be used in your company. So you have the business term plus a description, so there is no misunderstanding. Then from there, it can allow you to actually make a link between this metadata that you get, the data dictionary, and the business terms, the data glossary, so in such a way that you have everything linked, yeah? And you can even add more information. And then it provides you also, let's say, a lineage, okay? How each, if you see there, is different tables that are actually being moved. The data is being moved from one place to the other. And as you see, it considers even the business intelligence tool, right? So in this example, you have all this lineage or life cycle of the data, how it goes. Once you have all that done, right, then you have available for your organization a data market, yeah, of your organization that can be queried by anyone from the business side or the domain side. You have a search options there. You can go through the platform. If you are more technical, you can go just for the data set. You can actually search any definition, right? And this tool will help you out to give you all this information very quick, okay? So I hope that with this second option, right, you understood a bit better, right? So now, Bart, is there any more time? Because I finished with this, but if you give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes. There
5
you
real
go.
minutes.
So I will, in order to show you this, I'm going to. What I am? Okay. So everything I just mentioned, I'm going to show you that with a tool. Yeah. No, there you go. I will do that here. Everything is live. There you go. So before I mention a platform that we have built, it's called Laniotic, right? So what I'm going to use is this one just to show you the demo. Everything that I just mentioned, it will be now live, okay? So this thing actually, what allows you is to, here you go. As I said, with this, what you can do is actually you can connect this platform to any Kubernetes system. In this case, what we have done is we have connected this to Azure AKS, Azure Kubernetes service, right? And with this, we are able to deploy all the data technologies that we have, that I will show you later, very quickly, in a matter of minutes, right? So you have here, this is actually live now. I mean, you have all the nodes that we have used for this, right? You have the storages that are available, right? In that Kubernetes. So the whole, and then you also have the monitoring, yeah, deployed automatically by this platform, okay? So once we have that, you see there, nodes are alive. Once you have that, right, what you can do is actually you can deploy here the different technologies. In this case, what I have done is deploy the technology I just mentioned. We said that it will be an NiFi, right? Then I think I mentioned SQL, yeah, is deployed. And then here, data mesh, by the way, it was mentioned before as well, so the concept is exactly the same, right? So in here, we have deployed the Trino, and then we have also Data Hub. So let's go for Data Hub here, and you will see in live what I mentioned before in the presentation. So if you get here, maybe it's not the best one. So here, this is what you have the marketplace, right? So you see that the Trino and Postgres, SQL Server, Superset, and NiFi that I just showed you that is deployed in Kubernetes, well, these are the ones that are connected through Data Hub, and we are collecting all the metadata. And thanks to that, what I have is all the information related to that system or platform. As you see here, this is what we would call the data dictionary, right? So far, so good? Okay. So if we have this, right, now the question would be how you do that. It's what I showed you before. You can go here and you can go adding new sources of data or metadata in a very easy way. And in this case, I put all these technologies that I just deployed, yeah, to collect data, yeah? Here you can schedule how often you actually want to get the metadata. Once you do that, well, as I said, you already have the data dictionary. The next step would be to establish your glossary. So in here, you have a glossary that you can actually go adding terms, right? So for this one, I described a few things. It's in Spanish, by the way. It's not very interesting, so what autonomy is and things like that, no worries. But you can go adding all these things. The beauty here is that then, once you have both, you can actually link this thing with, let's say, any of the technical data you got from in your data dictionary. So let's have a quick look. So if I search for a term, a definition here, right, this is giving me that this thing, this word is actually in different places. Let me check, I don't see this. And so you have that in the business term, this word is appearing there. You have also in tables, you have also in some tags. This is something I want to explain. Well, so I can go here, and here you see already the definition of that table without the need of going to the actual database. So you know that it has all these fields here, right? A description of each one. And then here you see that I have added the terms, right? Glossary terms. So if you go there, you could actually add another one. Yeah, I will do that. I will put it here. There you go. So you have this term. So is this the way you actually link those things? Okay. So some other options that it gives you an overview of the data that you have there. So you don't need to go to the database, but you have a view of what it is there. And then it gives you also information about the lineage that I mentioned before. So in this case, we are talking about two tables located in this SQL server. You collect that, integrate that with that transformation with NiFi into this other table. From there, well, you can check the changes that you may have. Understood? And I think with this, as I said, once you have all this ready, it's a matter of just searching whatever you want, regardless of whether you are in the business side or if you are a technical guy, and use that data. I think with this I have finished 3 times already the same thing. Okay? Hope you learned.
Thank you very much, Aitor. 3rd time's a charm.